So my name is Liesl Pretorius. I'm a journalist from Johannesburg, and I'm also experienced in fact-checking, training, and grants management. Today, I want to tell you about a venture called Answerable, and once I've shared my screen, I'll take it away. Almost 2 decades ago, I started my career in a small newsroom in the Free State as a beat reporter where I covered local government or municipalities. It was a small newsroom, but it could afford to have a full-time local government reporter. Last month, the same newspaper stopped appearing in print, and while it will still continue some of its activities online, the person who now covers municipalities has to juggle many things. Just this past month, she also covered some of the State Capture Commission stories, theft on farms, a burning, a fire at a guest house. So the dedicated coverage of that beat didn't survive. And this is what Answerable wants to address. There is already a low level of accountability at the lowest level of government, and this is exacerbated by the crisis or the collapse of the media business model. If the media no longer fulfills its watchdog role, I think it will have dire consequences for democracy and for service delivery. The solution that I'm proposing and would like to tell you about today is a non-profit company that uses reporting and fact-checking and promise tracking to hold politicians and civil servants accountable for two things in particular, which are spending and service delivery. Answerable has a couple of meanings that are relevant here. The first is to be responsible for something, as politicians and civil servants are and should be. The second is to have to explain your actions to someone, and that this particularly applies to politicians when it comes to their relationship with citizens. And then the third meaning is to be able to be answered, and that ties in with what journalism can do, which is help explain our world to us and help us navigate that world. How did we get here? As many of the projects that my colleagues attempted or are working on, it started as something else. When I entered the Jamlab program, I entered it with a project called Track My Mayor, which is a database of mayor's promises. And the idea was that we wanted to help mayors, people in newsrooms to keep track of mayors' promises and when they were due. I received grant funding in 2017 for this specific project from the International Center for Journalists and from Code for Africa, and partnered with 4 newsrooms to track mayors' promises. I also entered the Jamlab program with the specific aim to decide on the way forward for Track My Mayor. I thought that it was necessary, but the question was how to make it sustainable. I just want to give you an idea of what Track My Mayor does, so I'm going to play a short video clip. So when I got into the program, I thought that I was dealing with a minimum viable product of sorts. And as you can see in those numbers, there was a small engaged audience. So now I knew there was interest in the product. And then the question was how to make it sustainable. And the answer I came to through this process and with help of fellow participants in the cohort and our coach, to whom I'm very grateful, is that instead of trying to just make Track My Mayor work, why not create a specialist external desk that covers more than just mayor's promises, that covers the local government beat, And it is similar to existing successful ventures such as Bekisisa, which concentrates on health. So the idea here is that where previously newsrooms had various desks inside their newsrooms that specialized in various beats that are now disappearing because of the problems with the business model, that now you could have an external desk that has more elbow room and that can serve various newsrooms with content. So the hypothesis then is that through a mix of donor funding and through income generating activities, that Answerable could be sustainable. And these activities would include content syndication, providing or hosting sponsored webinars, particularly in the run-up to the local government elections next year, and also to offer training. Our next steps then would be to test this, and we will do this by applying for donor funding. So we estimate that we would need 848,000 Rand in donor funding in the first year. And then we will also test the appetite for our income generating activities, including the content we will pitch to newsrooms, the training we will offer, and then the sponsored webinars, as I mentioned. We will also be seeking various kinds of partnerships and collaborations. We're not only looking for funding. We think there are like-minded organizations and individuals out there that might want to work with us. An example I can think of someone that we will approach is the people who work with a project called Municipal Money. So they're looking at making budgets transparent for citizens, and I think that's a very natural match for us. So if you are in the audience and you're listening today, you are one of those like-minded individuals, organizations, please contact me so we can take the discussion forward. Thanks very much.